Good evening, everybody. We have a great slate of divisional round games. We got no Eric Wilson, no Roadrunner, mouth runner Mike Cartenuto, but we do have special guests. We have Megan Price and then our special guest James Tatum. So let's get the crew in here. Megan, how are we doing? And then we're gonna get James in here. We got James in here. You guys both got big games coming up. So are you
We
guys
do. We
confident
do.
like in what you got going on? Like are you a little bit nervous cuz I know you both got really difficult matchups.
I'll be logical and say that this is going to be a really tough matchup for us. Obviously, the run game over there in San Francisco is really tough, and a glaring hole in our defense. Even though we've had a great defensive year, the main area where we're missing is our rush defense. So, I'm concerned for sure.
What about you, James?
We're the number one seed for a reason. We're getting guys healthy. Jalen Hurts was taken off of the injury report. Getting guys back. We're getting Lane Johnson back. First team All Pro at the right tackle position. Going against the Giants, a team that we're very familiar with and a team we've had a lot of success against over the years. So I think we will handle our business.
Yeah, I mean, you both have interests in matchups because Jake talked about it last night how the Giants played the Eagles relatively well in their last matchup. And I mean, to be fair, even though the Giants didn't really play their guys, it's like when both teams were healthy, and we'll get into you guys' game, but I'll just say this. When you both were healthy and you actually played each other, the Eagles killed the Giants. It was a different time, but the Eagles did kill the Giants the first time they played when they both were healthy, both playing all of their guys. But we'll get into that. The first game on the slate is the Chiefs and Jaguars. So give me one moment. And Jaguars Chiefs, as I just mentioned, this is a huge game because for me, I feel like this has upset potential written all over it. If you take all four of these games heading into the weekend, I think this one has the biggest probability, the highest probability of an upset happening. So, Megan, what do you think about this game? Do you think the Jags have any chance, or is it just kind of like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes doing what they normally do, and we're going to see more of what we saw from the Jags, first half Jags that we saw against the Chargers? Is there more of that, or like what do we expect from the Jags in this one?
I kind of view it kind of similar. Those four interceptions, I kind of view it similar to our kicker missing four of those points. I feel like that's unlikely to happen again. I do think the Jaguars have a chance to make this competitive. I don't see them going. I don't see them beating the Chiefs, especially not in Arrowhead. It'd be different if they were at home, like they were for this other game. But I do obviously this is a team with the Chiefs that you can't get down. You can't get down one more than one touchdown and expect to be able to fight back. They have a very real defense. Obviously, they're a high-powered offense, but there are times when Patrick Mahomes shoulders the weight of the offensive load and it needs to be spread around. And as long as, and then quoting Kerry Johnson, as long as he's able to share the workload, I don't see this being a problem for the Chiefs, but I think the Jags will make it a competitive game.
Yeah, I don't think so. You saw what happened with the Jaguars last week. It was a historical meltdown by the Chargers. So if you get down 27-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs, you're probably going to lose by 50. So the same mistakes that they made early on in that game cannot happen. Even though credit for Trevor Lawrence, he battled it back in the second half and he played really well. But he's going to have to play like complete game for 4 quarters. You cannot make mistakes against the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. And if you make mistakes against him, he is going to capitalize on that. So I don't think the Jaguars Cinderella story is going to continue. I got the Chiefs winning 31-17.
Now, when Trevor Lawrence made his comments, I believe it was today, and I'm going to paraphrase, basically he gave praise to the Chiefs Kingdom. However, essentially said I mean, it's Arrowhead. Like, it's not as loud as our stadium, so it's not that big of a deal. So, Megan, do you think that that's there's any bulletin board material for the Chiefs with that, or do you think? I mean, do you think this is just shows what Trevor Lawrence has in it, like confidence in himself and in his team to go out and win this game? Because that, I mean, that those are big words to say that against, going into Arrowhead against Andy Reid and Patrick
I mean,
Mahomes.
I think as a leader, you don't want to hear somebody like last week when we heard Pete Carroll say, "Well, unfortunately, we're playing the Niners." Like everybody was like, "Oh, he already sounds defeated." So of course, you don't want to hear your team leader sound defeated. I mean, obviously, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew, and I mean that just happens. It's also entertainment value. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna go. They don't want to go out there and just have a flat performance. So for me, I don't take it as him trying to overtalk or be bigger than what he is. I just take it as him trying to lead his team to a victory. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I mean, what do you expect him to get up there and say? Oh yeah, no, it's going to be a tall task, and we're probably going to get beat. Nobody wants to hear that.
No, you definitely don't want to hear that. But at the same time, I mean, you kind of have to be careful what you wish for because we've seen this in
Oh
the
no, you
playoffs.
do.
In the playoffs before, when people tried to do the same thing that Tom Brady was on, when he was on the Patriots, and every single time somebody ran their mouth heading into a playoff game against the Patriots, they always got their ass kicked because it was
Was
like,
it
hey,
was it good entertainment though?
it was entertainment. But talking
You know,
about winning wise, like at least with
I
Tom
mean,
Brady, it was
I
never
what
a
is he
good idea
supposed to?
to.
I
Yeah,
mean, I don't really think what he said is offensive to the team or bulletin board
Right.
for the team. I think it's more for the fans. I mean, he wasn't really saying anything disrespectful towards the Chiefs. He was just saying that he doesn't think that the Arrowhead Stadium is that loud or that scary, which is
Has he played there
ridiculous.
before?
Which is a
yeah,
ridiculous comment because it's probably the loudest stadium in the NFL.
It
So
is.
they
um,
lost
the
earlier this
Chiefs,
season in
the Chiefs,
Arrowhead.
it's a great home field
Yeah.
advantage for the Chiefs. So I think the fans are gonna obviously bring the energy. They're the number one seed. They love their Chiefs, and the Chiefs team is gonna feed off of that. But as far as like, I don't really think the comments are that big of a deal, to be honest.
For me in this game, I definitely, again, I definitely think that the Jags have the best chance to upset in their respective matchup out of anybody. I think the Jags have the best chance to pull off the upset against the Chiefs. And it's not nothing against the Chiefs, but again, this is playoff football. We haven't seen any Chiefs football without Tyreek Hill. We haven't seen that yet. And I know what we saw from the Chiefs this year, but again, it's playoffs. We
So,
haven't
John,
seen it yet.
you're telling me that the Jaguars to upset the Chiefs is more likely to happen than the Bengals to upset the Bills.
I don't think it's an upset if the Bengals beat the Bills
The
because I
Bengals
think
are the
they're,
Yeah, no,
underdogs, though.
but I
They're
think they're
underdogs.
yeah,
even. I
but
think the
neither one of
Bengals
those
Bills are at
teams
home,
it
and
would be
Bills
an
are
upset.
favored. So, by
But to me,
definition,
to
they're
me, that's
underdogs.
like, to me, that's like a coin flip between the Bengals and Bills. Like I don't really, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they're dead even in their I think that's a game that has to come like right down to the wire because they're that
It
even.
probably will.
But in this
Well,
game,
but before we
obviously
go
the
forward,
the David and Goliath, we know who that is.
let's go ahead and mention that Eric's here. What's up, Eric?
What up, y'all? My apologies for being late. Brother's like, I'm on CP time apparently. Show up late to my own damn funeral. Um, Appreciate y'all holding it down till a brother can make his entrance. Yeah, I hear y'all talking about the Jags and the Chiefs, and here's what I don't seem to get is, and I guess I'm taking a page out of the Sports Reporter Without Pay, Ray Lynn's book. How are we discounting the team that has been to the AFC Championship game over the last several years? I listen, no one I think loves the Jaguars right now more than me out of the four of us on this screen. However, it is Patrick Mahomes, it is Eric Bieniemy, it is Andy Reid, it is Travis Kelce. They just find a way to get it done. So I don't want to slight the Jaguars, but I don't see how we can just automatically say the Jaguars are in contention or they could potentially cause an upset. This is the Kansas City Chiefs we're talking about.
Right.
I don't see it happening.
I mean, you also have Doug Peterson, who has one of the highest winning percentages in the history of the NFL. I believe it's the second highest winning percentage for playoff football in the history of the NFL. So, I mean,
Okay, but John, who did Doug Peterson learn from? Oh, that's right, the guy on the other side of the field in Andy Reid.
Right.
Eventually,
Andy Reid's
just like
one of the best coaches of his generation.
Just like
Exactly.
in Star Wars, you eventually have to pass your master at
No,
some
let's
point.
not do
You
Star
become
Wars
better than
references.
your master at some point, and Doug Peterson's got his team.
It ain't gonna be
playing
this
great
time.
football. So, me personally, I have the Jags winning. I have them winning by 4 points. Give me that. And I
Interesting.
mean, I just don't trust Jerick McKinnon or a Juju Smith-Schuster or Mecole Hardman in a playoff game. I just don't trust them. That's just me, but playoffs are a different animal for
So you
Jerick
trust
McKinnon.
Zay
than
Jones, you trust some of these other
I
guys that
trust
haven't
Doug
proven
Peterson.
anything in the
I
playoffs?
trust Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence to come out.
Well, you know what?
So you
here's my
trust-
thing about-
You trust
Go
Trevor
ahead,
Lawrence over
Megan.
Mahomes?
Sorry.
You know, earlier today, and shameless plug, earlier today on 806, we were talking about how your team matches up like as a puzzle. Like, do you have the border? Do you have the corner pieces? What is your team really lacking? And I think when we look at a team like the Chiefs, if anything, I don't think they're really even missing any pieces. I think they need to maybe retool a couple of pieces, maybe some pieces that they already have on their squad that they don't realize is as good as they are. But I don't really feel like the Chiefs are missing much. Jags, on the other hand, are probably maybe 3/4 done, like as far as a puzzle, like they're still missing some pieces. They're not quite there. And then also, like Raylan said, that experience, that playoff experience, like they're as a unit, the Chiefs have that. And I think I probably believe in the Chiefs more than I believe in the Jags. Now, shout out to the Jags for getting hot at the right time. Shout out to them for being able to turn a corner and start to improve, because nobody expected them to make it this far. Nobody expected them to even be the home seed last week. And that's what happened. That's what ended up happening. So great season for them. Go in, put up a fight, make it a good game. But I don't see them winning.
All right, I guess I'm the only one. Remember my prediction that Patrick Mahomes will never win another Super Bowl for the rest of his life. So that's
Yes.
part of this. Is he's never going to win another one. That's my bold prediction. I said it last year. It's part of the prediction.
Even if that's true, he's going to some
You
AFC
don't like
championship
it,
games.
but he's not going to win another one.
He hasn't been less than the AFC Championship for his career yet. He hasn't even lost the divisional round yet.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be the lone wolf in this one, because y'all can eat your crow next Monday, Sports Arena. Whenever the Jags have beat the Chiefs. So before I guess anything, Eric, you want to add before we go to break and then come back?
Nope. Let's go.
All righty. Man, he's hot on the collar today, man. Jeez.
You're calling
All right.
this hot under the collar, John?
Yeah,
you
man,
have no idea.
You're a little bit on
John-
edge. Like we haven't even gotten to your game yet.
John, you have no idea. You haven't seen Eric hot under the collar. All right. Go to
Yes,
break
okay,
when we
so
come
I'm
back.
gonna run,
Don't poke the
I'm
bear.
gonna run some national scouting bomb.
Not a good
combine real
idea.
quick.
Hit it. And before we get to Eric, and James Tatum's game, we're 5 days away from the National Scouting Combine. It is going to be epic. Eric and the entire Sideline Sports crew are going to be out there representing, taking care of that whole thing. So make sure you tune in all next week for all of the footage, all of the material that we're going to put out, the National Scouting Combine, a lot of great stuff. Eric, do you want to add anything to that before we get going on you guys' game?
Yeah, man. Let me just say this really quick. For the last 6 years, I'm going into my 6th year. I've been blessed to be a part of this. Like I've always said, what Jimmy and Derek and Chad and Jay and Scott do is just phenomenal. Giving athletes, draft eligibles, free agents, this year incorporating the female athletes, giving them the opportunity to showcase their talent, not just in front of scouts of, the upper echelon, but also CFL, indoor arena, WWE, the USA rugby team. It's just giving them multiple opportunities to really achieve their goal and just move on to that next chapter. So, live streaming on the National Scouting Combine YouTube page, but a lot of the interviews and, of course, all the shows that we're going to do while we're there will be on, the Sideline Sports YouTube network. So just stay tuned, man. It's going to be a great week, and I'm excited to actually be around the crew once again, because as much as I can be sometimes a hard ass, man, y'all already know how I feel. I love and respect y'all, and I couldn't thank y'all enough for helping me be a part of this.
And also, I want to make sure we thank Jimmy for him believing in Eric, believing in us to go out there and do what we do best. So just want to thank Jimmy for giving us that opportunity as well. So now we got the Giants and the Eagles. We are on upset alert in this one because I think the Giants are going to pull this off. I think they're going to do it. If
you just need to be drug tested tonight. You just need to be drug tested tonight. John Scheer, I need you to go to CVS, Walgreens, or the nearest hospital, because you need to be drug tested, John. All right?
Look,
Make your case, John. I want to hear it.
Ain't no case to be made, Philly Jim. Come on, dog. What you doing?
This is coming from the same guy who, before the season, was saying A.J. Brown is the most overrated receiver in the NFL, only for A.J. Brown to set the Eagles' franchise record for receiving yards in a season.
It's that in my basement. I smell fraud in the air. Something fraudulent is around here, but I can't.
Fraudulent is what's coming out your mouth.
Eagles.
You don't even believe that, John.
We haven't seen the Philadelphia Eagles at their best in a very, very long time.
Very long time. John, are you kidding me right now? Very long time. When's the last time, John? I want time, date, place. Give me the last time you saw Philadelphia at their best, John, because I know when it was. Please give it to me. When, John? When? Don't worry, I'll wait. No, I won't. When was it, John?
When they lost to Dallas, no, it wasn't then.
Jalen wasn't playing.
Wasn't then. That's my point. Is we haven't seen you guys at your best, and now you got to turn on a switch. And Jalen Hurts hasn't played
this
MVP
is what John
football.
Does.
Okay.
Y'all know this is what John does.
Yep.
I think you could get caught with your pants down, and the Giants, just like they did the Vikings.
Yep.
Pull off
We're not the Vikings,
and but you haven't been. You haven't played that intense football that you were playing before Jalen Hurts got football.
Jalen Hurts has not been out. He's the MVP candidate. You expect a team to play exactly the same without the MVP candidate. It makes no sense.
But I'm saying you haven't got to play with him and play like you were. That's been a while. So now you're going into a playoff game. First time basically with him back, with all your guys healthy. And it's hard to flip a switch after – how long has it been? A month and a half since you've really been the Eagles, that team that was dominating? I'm just saying, like, the Giants could catch you off guard and pull off the upset. If you're not going to go with the Jags, then it has to be the Giants pulling off the upset and possibly playing the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
Oh my God! Somebody get! I can't listen to John right now. I need somebody to get John the hell off this damn screen right now because it's about turning into an Eric's rant, and I got a Philly brother sitting next to me. I'm just gonna shut up for a minute
God,
because
hot under the collar, are you?
I just can't believe that you going. You know what, Philly Jim, Megan, I'm gonna let y'all do you, and then I'm gonna say what I want to say to this sorry SOB sitting up here tonight trying to think he can host the show. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead.
Better than you. Go on, Megan.
Excuse me, guys. So my opinion on this game is while the Giants got healthy at the right time, they had some pieces come back on their defense. That was huge for them. I think the biggest advantage that the Eagles have over the Giants right now is that receiver core. Not over the run game, like as far as the Giants. Like, I don't think any of your running backs are better than Saquon, but I think your unit is better than Saquon. So, and I also don't think that rush defense over there in New York can handle what Philly has going on. Jalen, while he's not on the injured list, I do think there is a little concern, whether it be rust or whether it be health. But as far as being able to beat the Giants, I think they should be just fine. But shout out to the Giants, man. This is a team that goes to show how much difference a good coach can make in one season. One season, he's made a huge difference. He's actually made Daniel Jones look like a quarterback. So, not going to sit there and like take away from the Giants season, but I definitely don't think that this is going to be a game that's going to be tough for Philly. I think either Jalen comes in and he looks exactly like the same Jalen that we've looked all season long, or he looks a little rusty and the rest of the Eagles pull him up and they get him through the game.
A little bit rusty, and it's gonna end up costing them.
Rust is a lot different than not healthy.
And when you get punched in the mouth by that running game of the Giants,
Hey John, do me a favor. John, do me a favor. Zip your lip and let James speak.
Okay, first of all, there's a few things that you need to know. Number one, these teams have a lot of familiarity with each other. The Eagles and the Giants, they know each other very well. They spend the whole offseason trying to figure out how to beat these teams. The problem is the New York Giants have not won a game in Philadelphia since 2013. So if you think that, and by the way, whoever made the schedule having a bunch of Philadelphians on a Saturday night instead of like a Sunday night when you got to work on a Monday night, you don't know what you're doing because you're going to have a bunch of drunk, crazy Philadelphians in there, and it's going to be the most hostile environment that Saquon or Daniel Jones has ever seen in their life. Second of all, as far as Jalen Hurts being rusty or Jalen Hurts isn't going to be the same guy or whatever it is that you just uttered, he was only out for like a couple of weeks. And that last game against the Giants, they were clearly calling a safe game plan because they didn't want to put that much pressure on him. They were just trying to get the number one seed secured. So the guys had 2 weeks off now. So he had this week and this past week. So I think he's going to come out and he's going to play at a high level and get the job done. I mean, this is a team that's not really on the same level as the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't have enough on their defense to contain all the weapons. They can't contain A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins and Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders, and especially not Boston Scott. Boston Scott, for some reason, he always goes off against the New York Giants. I don't even know what it is. He doesn't do it.
10 touchdowns in 8 games against the Giants.
He's got 17 touchdowns in his career. 10 of them came against the Giants. Just saying. But Daniel, I'm also smashing the over on the Philadelphia Eagles getting over 5 sacks in this game. 70 sacks for the season. Minnesota Vikings are not the Philadelphia Eagles. They had 38 sacks for the season. This defense is a completely different beast. Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, all over double-digit sacks for the season. First team in NFL history to have 4 guys in double-digit sacks, by the way. So Daniel Jones is going to be in hell. Eagles win this game 27-13.
All right, let me just say this to John Shear. This ain't about Megan Price, who is a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I should be not even speaking to a Dallas Cowboy fan right now because I love Megan Price. She already know what time it is as the queen of hoop. And I'm gonna get I'm gonna get to you, Megan. I don't worry about it. We got that later. And to my brother Philly Jim, man, I appreciate you being on here tonight because somebody need to put John Shear in his place. He think because he gonna come on and host the show that he's gonna tell me what time it is with my team. John Shear, you have lost your damn mind. Listen, your Miami Dolphins, I'm going there tonight, brother. Your Miami Dolphins had a third string quarterback and couldn't get the job done. You sitting on the sideline with the rest of us trying to still convince people that Tua is your MVP for next season. Let me explain to you what the Philadelphia Eagles are about right now. John, do you realize that on his day off, Jalen Hurts was in the building watching tape? Do you realize that the Philadelphia Eagles once again have the number 1 seed? So what does that mean, John? That means in order to get to Arizona, where sideline sports and the sports arena are going to be, you got to come through the 215. You know what that also means, John Shear? That means that you and everybody else that wants to doubt Philadelphia on this game is going to have to apologize, especially to me and Philly Jim, when the New York Football Giants do not, I repeat, do not get the W on Saturday night, John. This team is built different. Oh, and by the way, you of all people, Mr. Analytic, Mr. Stat Guy, you of all people should know Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in the entire NFL. I said it. Damn it. You don't believe me? Look it up. For the past 2 years, for the last 2 years, you can't come on Jalen's right side. You want to know why? Because there's a bulldozer about to knock your ass out. So trust and believe me when I tell you this. I expect the best out of Daniel Jones. I expect the best out of Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay. And trust me, on the defensive side, Dexter Lawrence, please keep talking all that noise. Please come to Philadelphia because you're going to leave a battered and broken man, okay? I'm not calling a blowout, John. I'm not calling this is going to be lopsided. This is going to be true NFC East football. It's going to be a dog fight, okay? But the one thing you and every other person who is doubting Philadelphia needs to understand, we done been here before. We done been on top of the mountain. In the last 5 years, John, the NFC East has been ran through the mud. I am sick and tired of all y'all doubters. But guess what? Come Sunday morning, it's going to be like Stevie Wonder. Easy like Sunday morning. Because I get to look all y'all haters in the face and say, shut the hell up. Because the Eagles are in the NFC Championship game.
The last time we saw Jalen Hurts in a playoff game, he got his ass.
It was his first playoff game.
Yeah, no, I think you got to get it time to develop. You know what I mean? If you're over there believing that Trevor Lawrence is going to upset Patrick Mahomes in his second season, then I definitely think you got to give Jalen time to develop. And that was his first playoff game. But let's go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to go shout out the Say What, Say It Again guys real quick, and we'll be right back shortly.
Are we done in Philadelphia? Do you want to move on to Buffalo? Do you want to go a little bit further up north, or do you want to stay on this NFC least matchup?
Oh wow, John. We can stay over here in the NFC. I don't care. You know what? For Dallas, I really feel like there's certain areas where this is a matchup nightmare. But I'm not going to come on here and down my team whatsoever. But I think one thing that not only my listeners but my colleagues find respectful is when I'm logical. I do believe that that run game is going to be an issue. That's where we've had our holes is our run defense, and we know that their run game is incredible over there in San Francisco. But I will say this: I believe in Dan Quinn. I believe in Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator, and I believe that he came in. He came into the building and he set the tone when he cut Jalen Smith, our highest paid linebacker, supposedly our best linebacker at the time, and he set that tone. You're going to produce or you will be cut. It doesn't matter how much we pay you. And now Jalen's over there playing for the Giants, so we see how that's going. I feel like he is definitely going to be able to wrangle this team and be able to fill in some of those holes. It's going to be a problem that we lost Jason Kersey. Like that was a tough blow for us. That's somebody that not only when he's on the field, he makes an impact, but emotionally who he is, like he is one of those leaders over there on the defense. So hopefully he will still be in the building on the sidelines. We need to see something out of Dak that I didn't really like what I saw out of Dak whenever we had issues with our kicker. He wasn't talking directly to our kicker, but he was going off in a way that everybody on the sidelines knew who he was talking about. When you're a leader, you uplift. You don't put them down. And especially in a moment like your kicker like that, that's somebody that their game is completely mental. And so there you are, you as the leader are getting in their head and telling them that they're not able to get past this. Like, was that kicker having those same reactions whenever Dak was throwing interceptions? And so this is something that I feel like he's going to have to make amends for with his team. Like they need to see much better leadership out of him than that. For us to go in here and beat San Francisco, everybody's talking about Daniel Jones has got to have the game of his life. Dakota Prescott got to have the game of his life going into this game. He literally cannot make mistakes when it comes to interceptions. That cannot happen with that San Francisco defense. I do believe we have the ability to win this game, but it's going to be incredibly close, like maybe 3-point differential right there. Like the kicker could save the game. And because I highly doubt that he comes in and misses a fifth point like that. So I'm going to say 24-21.
James?
Yeah, good game by Dak on the other night against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was atrocious. Tampa Bay was the worst team in the playoffs. The San Francisco team is a completely different animal. They got the best defense in the league. And I just think that Dak Prescott cannot be trusted to be consistent. Nothing that he has done this season has shown that he can have back-to-back good games in a row. He's had a couple good games this season, but he usually follows it up with a subpar performance. And I think going on the road in San Francisco is going to be very tough. So if he makes the mistakes, like Megan was saying, the Cowboys are going to get behind, and then they're going to be playing catch up, and it's just going to be too late. So I think the 49ers win by 10, 27-17.
Eric?
This game is I will be 100% transparent with y'all. I'm worried about this game because Dallas did something that they've never done before, and that's beat Tom Brady in the postseason. Or I think it's 7. I don't know what it's now 7-1. I just know that. I'm not sure if it's ever or just the postseason, but regardless, it would have to be ever. Listen, we talked about Brian Daboll and coaching. We talked about Doug Peterson and coaching. I'm going to talk about D'Amico Ryans, a guy who is being interviewed for a head coaching job. Man, that defense, led by the guy who I feel should be the defensive player of the year in Nick Bosa. We're really going to see which team stands up. We always say styles make fights. This is a This is going to be, in my opinion, a matchup because the history between the two teams, San Francisco and Dallas. Y'all already know how I feel, so you don't got to ask me the question. I've made my case numerous times. However, I will say to you, if Dallas is successful in not necessarily upsetting, but playing the quote unquote perfect game that they have to play in order to beat this team, the it's going to be very truth telling about what Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn have been doing with this team because, you know, I still say Tony Pollard should be the number one running back. CeeDee Lamb's going to be CeeDee Lamb. But that defense is what, for me, is going to be what I need to see more of. I need to see the DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. I need to see those guys show up and show out. That's what I need to see in order. Because, listen, Brock Purdy he can get got. It's just the defenses that he has faced. I will say this, as it pains me to say, the defenses that Brock Purdy has went up against are not near what Dallas's defense has been this season. So, you talk about the four horsemen, if you will. To me, that's what I need to see. On offense, clearly it is in the hands of one man. And on defense, it needs to be DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. But Dak needs to be the Dak Prescott that Megan, Mike, Ruth, and others know and want him to be. I'm still saying San Fran finds a way to get this done. I think this game is going to be, much like what Megan said, a 3-point game. But I anticipate this being a high-scoring game. I'm saying it's going to be 31-28.
Yeah, so all time in the postseason, Dallas leads 5-3 between these two, and then they lead when it's in San Fran 3-2. The series. I think I don't think it's an upset if the Cowboys win. Actually, I actually think Dallas is the better team physically. I think almost every way they're a better team, but mentally, that's the problem with Dallas. Every year it's mental. It's not that they don't have the talent because they always have the talent, especially last year. They had the talent, but mentally, like the mental mistakes, what Dak did in the final play, like you can't do that. That's always been the problem with this team. But I think that Dallas is the better team. Like defensively, they both are really good. Offensively, I'd rather have Dallas's offense. If like Dak is a better quarterback than Brock, Brett, whatever, Purdy, that guy's not even relevant to me. He's a way better quarterback. He's just got to mentally do it. So for me in this game, for Dallas to win, they got to establish the run. They can establish a run because they didn't establish the run very well against Tampa. Like Zeke was under 3 yards per carry, I believe, against Tampa. Like they still won big, but that's not Dallas's formula. Their formula, and they don't like to go with their formula because for whatever reason, Kellen Moore likes to throw the ball over the field, but their formula is running the ball and then setting that up for their play action. And Dak hitting the home run ball with CD.
You know why that's not their formula? You know why that's not their formula? Because Mike McCarthy doesn't know how to run the dang ball.
Right. Exactly. That's Kellen Moore's fault. He always wants to throw the ball. They looked good
Ultimately,
when
it's
Dak
Mike McCarthy's
wasn't there.
fault because he leaves the playbook in Kellen Moore's hand.
Right. But when he was forced to run the ball when Dak was out, they ran the ball extremely well because they had to. But anyway, they have to run the ball in this. I think Dallas wins by 10 because I think that defensive line gets after Purdy and ultimately shows everybody why he's a 7th-round pick, why he was the last pick in the draft. And it's nothing against him. But I think ultimately that defensive line of Dallas and Dan Quinn show up enough to scare Brock Purdy. Because we saw at the end of the first half in that Seahawks game, if you can get him off his perch and make him move and throw on the run, he's a little bit different whenever things start breaking down. He's not quite the same guy that you see in a clean pocket. And I think Dallas and Mika Parsons know how to do that to people. And I think ultimately that he makes some turnovers that he hasn't been making. And I think Dallas ends up winning by 10, 31-21. That's just me, but I think that Purdy's the key to this, and I think he'll make some mistakes that we haven't seen, and that'd be the Giants and the Cowboys, unfortunately, in the NFC Championship.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break real quick. We're going to shout out Ray Lynn's show, Ball Don't Lie. Welcome back. All right, so we got to tackle this last game. Bengals, thoughts, guys?
Bengals, Bills. Ooh, this is a good one.
So we know that the emotions are going to be super high with this one. Personally, I think this comes down to QB play. And for me, that comes down to the mistakes that Josh Allen has made over this season. I don't want to sit there and say he's regressed all the way to his rookie season, but there was some regression this season. Some bad decision making. There have been some interceptions, we just don't see that in Joe Burrow. He's very cool. You just don't see him get flustered like that, even in situations where you kind of think he's kind of flustered. You just don't see that type of emotion out of him, and I think that's highly important out of your leader. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game, and I'm going to go ahead and say 37-29. Bengals on top.
I guess I'll go next. I mean, there's a lot for me to this game. Somebody in the AFC East that watches Josh Allen a lot, sees him a lot. I mean, I think that the way they have to score in this game is the big plays. They cannot. I don't think they can, and I don't think Josh Allen wants to live the way of, hey, let's have a 10-12 play drive. Like, he wants the big home run ball, and they can do that in spurts against the Bengals. But I don't think it's sustainable, especially against that defensive line. The secondary has been pretty good. And that defensive line can get at you. And we saw in the game against Miami, if you can pressure with 4, you can put Josh Allen into a precarious situation. The Dolphins did it 3 times, picked him up twice, strip sack, fumble the other one for a touchdown. And that's been the thing, is like the Jets did it to Josh Allen this year. Force him to do what he likes to do. Make him try and go home run ball, because that's what he loves to do. Make him try and do that, and you can force him into plays that your offensive coordinator doesn't want to see, where he's turning the ball over. And I did say at the beginning of the year, I said losing Brian Dable would hurt him in some regards. I said he would regress a little bit, because I think Dable really helped him not make those mistakes. And I don't think Dorsey's quite as good of an offensive coordinator as Dable. So I think he lost a lot when Dorsey became the offensive coordinator. So I think the Bengals ultimately win by 7 in this one. I think Josh Allen, like Megan said, makes too many turnovers. He makes too many costly plays, and it outweighs the big plays that he likes to make. And ultimately, I think it costs his team the game. And then it's going to be in Burrow's hands, and he'll go down and he'll make the plays he has to at the end of the game, and it'll be Bengals and Jags, and then in the AFC Championship.
Okay, so yeah, I think you guys are right with your QB analysis. It's pretty much what I was going to say I think Joe Burrow is just. I think he's just better than Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is probably a better athlete, a better runner, and he probably has a stronger arm. But Joe Burrow is more calm. He's more poised. He's definitely more accurate with the football, and he makes better decisions. You know, Josh. If you see all these great plays that he always makes that one. Like, what kind of like? How could he make such a stupid play? Like, Josh Allen is such a great quarterback. He always has like that one or two boneheaded decisions during the game, and on this stage, I think that's going to be a problem. And with the Bengals, they have a lot of ways they can beat you. They have a really good wide receiver core. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. You have Joe Mixon. They have a lot of weapons that can hurt you. And after seeing the success that Miami offense was having against them, I have no reason to believe that the Bengals can't also put up a lot of points on the board. So I think the Bengals are going to go back to the AFC Championship and have a rematch against the Chiefs.
This game has too many emotions to sway one way or the other. I mean, on both sides of the ball, these two teams met and had to deal with stuff that no football player, no human should ever have to deal with. Okay? But the fact of the matter is it happened, and here's where we're at. I, in good conscience, have said since the beginning of the season, the Buffalo Bills are my pick to represent the AFC in Arizona. And while I agree with all of you, there's one piece that people aren't talking about. And it's not DeMar Hamlin, who, by the way, prayers and still healing blessings for that young man, that he continually gets better day by day by day. But I'm going to keep this strictly about the football game. There's one guy who has had to endure a lot on a emotional level, if you will, because he has been the guy who has seen his team get so close and not be able to finish the job, if you will. And that's Stephon Diggs. I think this game means a lot to him for many reasons. He understands what lays before him. And we kind of saw it a little bit this season. He was like, Coach, give me the ball. Like, people aren't going to forget who I am. And that's going to be very truth-telling in this matchup, because you know there's a lot on the line, not just from the football standpoint, but I'm keeping it football. What I am fearful of is that this game won't be to the level that we want it to be. I feel people are going to be a little more, for lack of a better phrase, they're going to be a little more flag football-ish, if you will. The intensity will be there, but I think in a moment, some people might kind of back off a little bit just because of what they experienced.
Right.
That being said, Buffalo is still my team. I'm not swaying, but either team, I will say this, no matter which team comes out of this game, that team is going to Arizona. So whether it be Kansas City, whether it be Jacksonville, it doesn't matter to me. Whoever wins on Sunday between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, that team is going to the Super Bowl.
All right, so we got our picks in for the divisional round weekend that we have coming up. Let's do a little bit, and we don't have much longer, but let's do a little rundown of some of the moves we've already seen leading up to the WNBA free agency. We have free agency officially starts on the 21st. But we've already had some trades, and a trade that's actually supposed to happen, hope maybe tomorrow. We saw the 2021 MVP, Jonquel Jones, get traded to the New York Liberty, along with Kayla Thornton from the Dallas Wings. Dallas Wings received Natasha Howard and Crystal Dangerfield. And then Connecticut Sun received Rebecca Allen Ty Harris and the number 6 overall pick of the 2023 draft. I think this says a lot about Connecticut more than any of those other teams. I think I blame Kurt. Kurt Miller left, their coach, got them to the finals, wasn't able to finish the job against the Las Vegas Aces. But I think since the season started, Las Vegas, all eyes were on Las Vegas Aces. All roads to the championship led through Vegas. So I think that was a tall task for any single team. And it just wasn't enough. And then your coach quit on you, and he left for supposedly a better market in LA, in a team that let Candace Parker walk,
Megan,
and has had struggles.
Megan, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Because I find it very funny, and I'm not trying to be facetious or sarcastic. I just find it very funny that you, of all people, are saying that Kurt Miller quit on his team.
He did.
Like, I need some
and he
explanation.
quit on his team. He quit on his team. Is he there? Is he it? I mean, he was maybe one piece away to maybe going back to the finals again. And then he just quits and goes to LA, a team that is beyond struggling. And they don't even know if they're going to be able to sign Nneka back. And I'm sorry, wherever Nneka goes, Chene going too. So you're just going to lose the Agumake sisters, not only your best players, but you're also going to lose the president and the vice president of the Players Association. And then you got that train wreck and Liz Cambage. Yeah, you quit on your team.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to put a pin in this
him
one.
And the look at him and the Mohican tribe. Look what they have built over there in Connecticut. That is a solid squad that was in the finals. And you just quit Megan, on your team?
Hold on. But Jonquel left. Jasmine Thomas is gone.
She didn't leave until none of those ladies left until Kurt left.
So what does that say about they left because their coach left? If you're talking about that team is a piece away from winning a championship, then it shouldn't matter who the coach is. I understand, as you always say, and I okay, but if the team can rally together, then I don't know. I disagree with you on that one. It's very rare that you and I disagree with WNBA stuff, but I don't think Kurt quit. Kurt went somewhere where he was going to be able to do what he needed to do. And for Connecticut, it was like that was the start of the implosion. But I don't blame Kurt. Kurt was like, look, I got to go.
I highly disagree.
So, okay.
Does that count as quitting the other players if they up and leave and the coach leaves? Does that count as quitting too?
Oh yeah, no, they're giving up on the situation too. Okay. But I'm not sitting there saying that they're not giving up on the situation. I'm saying I blame Kurt.
Okay. So Kurt was the first domino to fall, and then once he did it, everybody else just followed suit. So.
Yeah, and now they're blowing up their roster. We also. Everybody wants to know where Brianna's going. I don't know if y'all saw the tweet. It was just a bunch of emojis, hieroglyphics, in the comments, it was hilarious. Somebody said that Ruby probably had her mom's phone and she just posted something random, and everybody, WNBA Twitter is losing their mind trying to figure out where Stewie's going to go. Everyone thinks likely destination is going to be New York. She's from New York. She signed a 1-year deal last year to rejoin Sue Bird. It was she interviewed with some of these other teams last year, so it's not a surprise that New York is a destination. It looked like either she was going to leave after another year after Sue was done, or she was doing this for cap reasons to help the team out, and that they were going to give her contract this year, which either one of those I think is plausible. Because this is the team that drafted her, and I think she's loyal, but I also feel like she's 28. The women's careers don't last as long as the men's generally. Not everybody is DT or Sue Bird. Like generally 36 hits and the ladies are done. And then also, we also heard just about an hour and a half ago that the Wings are probably going to trade Alicia Gray, my favorite player, to the Atlanta Dream. There's not one person on the
Wow.
Atlanta. Yeah,
Really?
Bye
there's not
Wings.
one. Hold on. There's not one person on that roster that I want in exchange for Alicia Gray except for Ryan Howard, and they're not going to give up Ryan Howard. So this is going to be a trash move.
That's one less team we got to worry about. The Mystics getting to the
No,
championship.
no, no. Don't get
One
it.
less
Don't get it
team
messed
got to
up.
worry about.
Don't get it messed up because we did get Natasha Howard. We're talking about somebody that's a 3-time champion. Like we're talking about somebody that's a defensive player of the year. Like Natasha Howard is a baller. Maybe it was a cap issue and that's why we got to move on from Lish. But I don't like the move whatsoever. I think you do whatever you can to keep those three, Marina, Arike, and Lish, together. But maybe it was a cap thing. Obviously, Natasha's a baller, so I'm super happy to have her on the squad. This is Crystal Dangerfield's. This will be her 4th team in 4 years. I don't expect her to finish the season.
Yeah, look, the Aces had their moment in the sun. Just say that. It's
Oh,
Mystics
they're likely to
time.
repeat.
It's the
They're
Mystics
likely to.
time. Let's get those frauds out of the way. It's the Mystics time. Everybody else, the sky is falling. All these teams are falling apart. It's the Mystics time. Brianna's, you could just come right down to Washington, hang out there, you and Della Don, we'll make it a party. We'll win a championship, bring it back to DC, finally bring some prestige back to DC because all
Well,
these
Portion
other
of the
just keep
Sports
teams.
your.
Arena, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you by the word of today is drug #tested. Brought to you by John Shear. Because we'd have no clue what he is on tonight. You give this man a little bit of power and look, it goes straight to his head. Anyhow,
It's going to be very
listen,
interesting. Keep an eye out for it. The entire Chicago roster is a free agent, so we have no idea what's going to happen over there. And it's just a huge free agency season. So keep your eyes peeled. We're going to have tons of news this weekend, WNBA
And
news
we
this weekend.
and we don't even know what's going to happen with BG. Like if she comes back, that changes a lot in the WNBA too. We have
Well,
no
but they
idea what's
have
going to
they have
happen there.
they have 2 roster
So
spots open as well. They have Shea Petty's going to be on the injured reserve, and then Skylar's on maternity leave. So definitely going to be a very interesting free agency. Like the landscape of the W is going to look very different come this season.
and they're playing, 40 games this season?
40 games, and we got a game in Canada.
Yep, first game ever in Canada between the Chicago Sky and the Minnesota Lynx.
Very
Lynx.
excited for that. And in case you missed it, this past week, the very last member of the championship squad core of the Minnesota Lynx and Maya Moore retired. There was a satire account on the WNBA Twitter who said that she loved how Maya had 5 kids, opened 4 law firms, a couple of daycares, rescued her husband, and that took 6 years off, goat behavior. And then she wants to check in and say, hey, I'm retiring, guys. Like, yes, girl, we knew, and we was glad to hear from you. But that's going to do it for us for Sports Arena. We have hit our time limit here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check us out at the National Scouting Combine next week, the 22nd through the 27th. You can catch all that coverage on Sideline Sports YouTube channel or Sideline Sports 1 on Twitter. Thank you, James, for joining us, and we will see you back, guys, next week. Play the outro video.
Yeah, John, do your job.